in my view, the dollar is of course doomed as a currency. But the others are also doomed. That is the beauty. The dollar exists and is a strong currency as long as the others are equally bad or worse. I think that we are not just about stocks, but I think we are at a major turning point in asset markets. And inflation is still around 60, 80, 100%.
The dollar remains strong not because it's flawless, but because other currencies are in equally bad or worse shape. This creates a scenario where the dollar's dominance persists amid global currency struggles. The markets are at a crucial turning point, with asset values under pressure and inflation rates still extremely high, ranging from 60% to 100%. Analysts from ING predict that as a U.S. recession sets in next year, the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates by 150 basis points, reducing the appeal of U.S. assets and pushing investors towards other undervalued currencies. Marc Faber, a Swiss investor, publisher, and financial commentator best known for his contrarian market views and economic predictions, explains global growth rates have slowed since 2018 and 2019, and most economic indicators are weaker now than pre-COVID. The average family is worse off today due to rising living costs outpacing wages. Those with cash, like businesses in cash-dependent sectors, benefit from higher interest rates, while those with debt struggle due to increased borrowing costs. The economy is complex, consisting of varied households, some of which have prospered due to policies like money printing, while others face hardship. Media often skews the narrative, highlighting positive economic views from those in better positions and aligning with government agendas, especially in the U.S., without reflecting the struggles of ordinary people. Discussions about the economy or markets should consider specific sectors and conditions, rather than oversimplifying the entire landscape. The global economy has seen declining standards of living in most countries over the past 5 years, particularly in Western democracies like France, England, and Germany. While there may be exceptions, such as in India where living standards might have improved, the typical family in many Western nations has experienced a decrease in their standard of living. As we present clips from the video, please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications bell to be instantly notified every time we upload a video. Thanks for the support and enjoy the video.
If I look at growth rates around the world, they've all obviously slowed down. And if we look at 2018, 2019, pre-COVID, and today, most economic indicators that I follow are lower than in 2019. And the typical family in the world, there are exceptions, but the average family is less well off than they were in 2018, 2019, because the cost of living have gone up more than their salaries. And then we also have to distinguish, do people have cash or do they owe money? For people who have cash, like in my business, you need a lot of cash in the brokerage industry. The conditions are better now because interest rates have gone up. 3 years ago, you got next to zero interest. So that time was very bad for cash holders, deposit holders, whereas now it's relatively good. Other people, they have large borrowings, consumer credits and so forth. They're hurt by the rise in interest rates. Whenever someone asks or talks about the economy, we have to understand the economy is very complex and it consists of millions of households. And you can have some households, they are better off because of money printing. And these are the people that come on CNBC and on Fox News and in the main media. And then they will tell you how great the economy is doing. And all these media outlets, they will not interview ordinary people on the street who are struggling. So the media is distorting the views, and the media is very, say in America, is very pro-government, Biden administration. So they will do everything to see to it that, say, the Biden administration stays in power. They're all afraid of Trump. And so forth and so on. So when we talk about the economy, to talk overall is not very helpful. We need to really look at specific sectors. It's like when someone asks me, are you bullish about stocks or bearish? Well, some stocks will go up and others will go down. And maybe everything goes down, but some will go down less than others. So everything is much more complex than the media makes it up to be. Because the media, they know the typical citizen has, young people nowadays have very short attention time. They like TikTok. That's TikTok. Rapid, rapid, rapid. And social sciences are very, very complex, including economics. The global economy, if we measure standards of living, the standards of living in most countries, there are some exceptions. Maybe in India, the standards of living of people have gone up in the last 5 years, most likely. But in most other Western countries, Western democracies, France, England, Germany, for sure, that is guaranteed. For sure, in these countries, the standards of living of the median family, the typical family, has gone down.
Faber discusses the consequences of government overspending, highlighting how sustained deficits can harm a country's currency value. It outlines 3 problematic solutions: raising taxes, which is politically unpopular; cutting public spending, which could lead to social unrest; and defaulting on debt, which would cause widespread financial chaos domestically and internationally. Historically, governments have often chosen to print money as a solution, effectively taxing the public through inflation. However, an economist and financial commentator, Peter Schiff, frequently warns about the dangers of excessive money printing, linking it to inflation and economic bubbles. Meanwhile, Nouriel Roubini also discusses how continuous money printing by central banks could lead to severe economic downturns. Marc Faber explains that economic cycles involve periods of rising and falling inflation, interest rates, and commodity prices, typically lasting 45 to 60 years. Since the last peak of inflation and commodity prices in 1981, inflation and interest rates have generally been declining, with interest rates reaching a low around August 2020. This artificially low level of interest rates was largely achieved through central banks' money printing, which has distorted these natural economic cycles. Let's have a look back to the interview.
The government debt grows very rapidly when the government spends more money than it collects in taxation. You can't do that permanently without causing some damage to the value of your currency. That is the first conclusion. In other words, I would be reluctant to think that the dollar will remain strong. It's likely that the dollar will weaken. Number 2, there is a problem if the government spends more than it collects. The government could go to the people and say, look, we spend too much, we collect too little, we have to increase taxation. Show me a politician in the world that will be elected if he goes to the people and say, we need to increase taxation. Second solution is the government goes to the people and say, well, we spend too much. We have to implement cuts. And we start with police officers, and firemen, and war veterans. We cut their benefits by 30%. I'd like to see the revolution that follows, economic policy measure. The third way is, of course, and that's is default. The financial system owns bonds that are issued by the government. So you have insurance companies, they own these bonds. You have pension funds, you have individuals, and you have mutual funds. If the government decides to default, I tell you, it's incredibly messy. Also international, because a lot of foreign countries, they own a large portion of the US debt. Every government throughout history in this situation of deficits has embarked on one policy measure, and that is to print money. Every government throughout history. That is the easiest. It is a tax, but people don't realize it, that it's a tax. The government can say, well, we have inflation. It's because of Putin. It's because of China, Xi Jinping. It's because of evil Iranians. And they have a whole catalog of excuses for inflation. with the exception of one issue, and this is that the government is overspending and that the government, through its agent, the central bank, is printing money. That causes inflation. Neither Putin nor anybody else overseas. It's self-inflicted inflation, but they can't go to the people and say, well, we are a failed government, so we have inflation. We have cycles of accelerating inflation and then cycles of deflation or disinflation, and we have cycles of rising interest rates and falling interest rates, rising commodity prices and falling commodity prices. These cycles last 45 to 60 years. These are long cycles. And again, because of money printing, a lot has been distorted. But in general, the last cycle peak for commodities and inflation was 1980-81. Since then, inflation has been coming down and interest rates came down and bottomed out. Interest rates that had peaked in September 81, they bottomed out, say, around August 2020 at an artificially low level. This level of interest rates were achieved by money printing by central banks.
The global economy faces significant challenges as governments grapple with the consequences of overspending, distorted economic cycles, and declining living standards. To navigate these complexities, a nuanced understanding of specific economic conditions and sectors is essential, rather than oversimplifying the broader landscape. Why does the dollar remain strong despite global economic challenges and declining living standards in many countries? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Until next time.